We're taking it back to crisscross.
We're taking it back to crisscross applesauce for this one. I'm trying to get the intro a little cleaner.
It's echoes of the Forgotten Island.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Echoes of the Forgotten Island.
Everybody crack your knuckles.
Crack all your knuckles.
Okay, ready?
I think so.
I hope it's not going to be uncanny when the theme music kind of starts to die down and we just the camera. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game Jelly Season 2.5, Echoes of the Forgotten Island. We've done that 5 times today, and we've never gotten it right. I'm Tieren and Costello. I'm a designer and a composer, and I'm coming to you from this couch right here.
I'm Keating Shahmehri. I'm an artist and designer, and I'm coming to you from this couch right here.
And I'm Keating Shahmehri Costello. I'm a 2-time guest of Game Jelly, trying to score a hat trick right now. Yeah.
And yeah, this is a show where we come together, we design games together, we verbally prototype them, and this is our goofy interim season for the summer break that we're currently taking. We are living it big somewhere. We're recording this in the winter, but don't tell anyone.
And it's on YouTube.
That's true. It's on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast player, you can find us on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can find this and a bunch of other seasons of Game Jelly over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
You'll never guess how many seasons there are before 2.5.
I mean, you wouldn't be able.
Yeah. No.
Is there a 1.5?
True.
There is not a 1.5.
There's not a 1.5. So today's episode is Columbo versus Breaking Bad. None of us have seen either show. I'm just joking. I love Breaking Bad and I love Columbo.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but I've seen a lot of Columbo, and I love it.
And I've seen a lot of Breaking Bad on YouTube Shorts, mostly with sort of epic music put on top of the clips.
So
I was gonna say I actually thought about when I was introducing myself. I forgot I thought about doing a Lieutenant Columbo here instead of saying I'm saying Shahmehri Costello.
So good,
but I forgot
featuring Columbo.
Yeah. We're so honored to have you on the show.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with my pitch. I mean, a lot of people have talked about this. Who would win? Columbo or Breaking Bad? And I think in the Columbo universe, Columbo wins. Easy. Mm-hmm. In the Breaking Bad universe, Breaking Bad wins. But it's like some kind of crazy trial. And it like goes a bunch of ups and downs. Really weird. Someone has to shoot Columbo.
Someone's got to shoot Columbo.
I gotta shoot Columbo today. You know the tone of Breaking Bad? Jesse, you need to shoot Columbo. So here are the basic, I'm going to run down my list here. And here are the basic arguments in favor of both parties.
So hold on, this is a game theory episode?
Okay, this is the preface. This is how I'm setting up for, pitching this game. Because Walter White is successful largely because of his reputation. No one would ever think it's him, and the people leading the investigation know him. So Columbo walks into the room and he knows. He immediately looks at Walter White and he knows. And there's clues everywhere. The evidence is astounding. But it's just that no one even begins to suspect him. And Columbo would begin to suspect him, look for the evidence, and find it. Once found, it's a different story. There are people who find evidence that spoilers for Breaking Bad, Walter White is Heisenberg. There's evidence that.
Sorry, at what moment does Walter White become Heisenberg?
Well,
because that's something that the YouTube Shorts comments really like to talk about. Is
the definitive moment that Walter White becomes Heisenberg is factually, it's when Jesse he accidentally smokes Jesse's weed. No, not accidentally. when he purposefully smokes Jesse's weed, and Jesse is like, "Oh, like that's so great! You're smoking weed. That's awesome!" And then Jesse realizes it's his weed, and he's like, "Hey, that's not cool, man." That's when Walter White becomes Heisenberg.
Okay. It's so epic.
So it's so epic. It's one of the greatest moments in television. Bravo. Walter White is successful because of his reputation. Columbo would know. Once known, it's a different story. In the Columbo universe, Columbo finds the evidence and proves it, and then Walter White's like, "Oh man, I've been found out." In the Breaking Bad universe, Walter, like I said, ups and downs. Walter ultimately, at a great cost to his own mental health, to Jesse's mental health, and to the well-being of the entire world, kills Columbo. So I think that this game...
Poor Walter White's mental health. The real victim in this scenario.
So, I think that this is a game where the story trades chapters and perspectives. The first chapter is Walter White cooking meth, doing his thing. You can do a little cooking game mechanics where he's cooking.
Beautiful. Sort of like Cooking Mama is what I'm picturing for
Mama.
that. And 99%. That's what Cooking Mama is telling you.
Yeah, exactly. And like Jesse's there, it's fun, it's goofy, it's tense, crazy stuff's happening. At the end of this chapter 1, you're forced. I did write you were forced. I do see how I'm kind of being gaslit by Walter White here. You're forced to commit a murder. Chapter ends. The game is branded as a Breaking Bad game. Chapter 2 begins.
This feels like a breach of sort of trust with the consumer to brand it as a Breaking Bad game and then sell them a Columbo game.
That's actually so good, though, if the title screen plays after the murder and then it comes back on a shot of Columbo's car driving towards the camera.
Exactly.
Great.
Enter Frank Columbo. And he is brought in just on this homicide, but he finds that there's other stuff going on. Among other people, among Jesse Pinkman, Hank Schrader, Skylar White, he ultimately meets, and of course Saul Goodman, he ultimately meets one Walter White and immediately pegs him for what he is. Then the chapters go back and forth, and his chapters, Columbo's chapters, are text-heavy, mystery game style chapters, and you're looking for clues, you're doing a lot of interrogating, you're constantly, choosing what to say to properly kind of get this person to break, because that's how that show operates. So you always have the just one more thing button. You can always do just one more thing.
See, where my brain immediately went was that there's a one more thing quick time, and then it gets harder because there are episodes where he comes back in multiple times in a row. You can hit the one more time quick time multiple times in a row, but it gets harder each time until you can't do it anymore.
Good. I think it's also a thing where it's you're making the one more thing quick time easier by bringing down their defenses by playing dumb in the normal conversation.
Yeah,
where you're making casual conversation with them and like trying to build up a rapport, and then the finishing blow is one more thing, and then you get the piece of evidence you need.
Right.
That's very good.
Yeah, I love the quick time thing. Is so clever. That's awesome. I'm thinking that small decisions you make as Walter can leave evidence that Columbo in the Columbo chapters can look into.
Right.
And so it operates as How Ketchums do, which both of these shows are How Ketchums. That's, I think, why it's such an engaging question. Same with like Death Note. The reason people like thinking about Death Note and Columbo is that Death Note is also a How Ketchum, where you...
So you threw that out really, really casually. The reason people like thinking about Death Note and Columbo...
This is a real thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a real thing. You said it like it was a huge thing.
The reason everybody's on this Death Note versus Columbo
in the year 2024.
That trends on Twitter a lot. It is that they're all How Ketchums, and it's an interesting question. Is Columbo the best man for the job? You make the game play mechanically as a How Ketchum does. You're kind of not rooting for, but you're interested in seeing both parties succeed. And it is this back and forth game of chess, and you are in this game really playing as both, playing your best as both. But then also it plays into this idea that Columbo has this incredible intuition, and so your knowledge of what is going on works because because you were playing as someone with this unbelievable intuition.
That's so good.
It's true. It's really a case where the playing both sides of the mystery really makes sense, because that's the way Columbo episodes work.
Yeah.
Is he usually knows not only who the person is, but also often how they did it from the beginning, and then he's collecting more and more circumstantial evidence until he gets something that's irrefutable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to play out a scene from this game. Keating, you be Jesse, I'll be Walter, and Sagan, you be Columbo.
All right, dude. We got it. It's art, man.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking you should, like, lead the scene. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
Okay, cool. Here's how it would go down.
This got... Okay, hold on. I want to say, this was sprung on me. I don't have a good Columbo in the bag.
Yes, you do. Here we go.
Of course you do.
Jesse.
Yeah?
This detective is onto us. He knows. You need to exercise more caution.
Lieutenant... Say, Walter.
Walter, he's trying to say something.
I can hear him, Jesse.
Ring. Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Columbo, come in here into the next
No,
room.
wait. It's for you.
Well,
How did he know?
the license plate number. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
I don't know, dude.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's
He's totally onto us.
That's how the game
So
looks.
that's what the game's gonna
look
be
like.
like. So you can see why we felt like we were fit to make this, because we really understand how the tones of these things would kind of coincide.
And you can see why people would buy the game. You can see.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Tieren, to be clear, had more notes about this game than any other game we've done
By
for
a long shot.
Season 2.5. I had far less than for the rest of my games. The 3 notes that I have are all pieces of dialogue, and the first one is dog looks like we're not where we're from anymore. That's something that Columbo would say.
What?
Because
you don't know where he's from.
I don't know where he's from.
He's
I
from
know
LA.
he has a dog named Dog.
That is true.
Where's he's from Illinois?
He's from LA.
LA. Okay.
So he's in the proximity, I guess. I don't remember exactly where Breaking Bad
New
takes
Mexico.
place. Yeah, yeah.
The second one I have is "You smell meth, boy." Follow your nose, and then Dog follows his nose to the meth, and that tells him
That's meth. 99%.
Yeah, that's one cool thing about Columbo, is that his taste receptors can give him a percentage of the purity of the meth he's tasting. And then the last thing I have is just one more thing, Jesse. I need you to cook. And then what I have here is my wife and I dinner sometime. Like, he's putting Jesse on edge by saying, you need to cook. But then it's a fake out, and he's saying, I need you to cook dinner for me and my wife.
Sorry,
Right.
another good, another like a thing that Columbo does in a lot of episodes when the person he's talking to is famous is he'll be like, "Oh, my wife's a big fan of yours."
Yeah. Oh, true.
And being like, my wife is a big fan of Heisenberg's.
My wife is always talking about this Heisenberg. Now, I don't get it. This is something I've been wanting to do on the show for a while. This is my impression of Columbo talking about Frasier.
Yeah, I bet you've
This
been
is
wanting
very
to
good,
do
yeah.
this
Yeah.
for a while.
Now, my wife, she's always talking about this show, Frasier. I don't know. Too smart for me. Anyway, that's all I have.
Very nice.
That's
Do you
awesome,
have
dude.
a Frasier talking about Columbo or?
Calculating. Oh, Niles, Dad's watching one of his shows again.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
So both of these are contingent.
Surprise, surprise! He caught the killer. Big laugh.
Yeah.
Both of these are about the main character knowing that one of the tertiary characters watches the other show.
Well, yeah, Frasier's dad is not a tertiary character, but yeah, no, I know what you're correct. So I do think you're collecting this evidence. You're finding that it goes deeper. As Columbo, you're finding that it goes deeper and deeper. There's this homicide. You link it back to this drug ring, and maybe you link it back to like Gus Fring, and you know that Walter White is guilty somehow, but you understand that there's this bigger picture here. I think Walter would probably just keep going about his business. He would just keep cooking and stuff. So
there's no rising tension.
It's a very like Columbo heavy game is what I'm getting at in its current form. So I do want to figure out like what do we give Walter to do in this time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the way that I feel like the linking point, again, I haven't seen Breaking Bad, so I'm not working with a lot of evidence here. I feel like a place where there's some crossover is the thing of like in Breaking Bad, he's constantly covering up for previous crimes in ways that get him deeper into the mess, which is also how Columbo episodes typically work, is that the person is like, oh, I have to hide my crime, and then they do something that unintentionally sets Columbo down the path to finding something new out. So having something like that where in the Walter White sections you're doing like these cover-ups and these tricks and things that are then
I think you're totally right, and I think we can see the difference in the way that their minds work by you are under all this pressure as Walter to keep doing your job, but this guy is pestering you, and so you still have these conversations with him, but your ability to cover your tracks and stuff is so much. Your processing power in these conversations is so much lower than his, and your precision in these conversations, and so it could be a totally different UI for the way that he processes these conversations. And like one thing about Walter White is like he kind of wants to be caught because he wants people to know how incredible he is, like how talented he is, and he doesn't want to be just some dude. And so like there could be like these compulsions that rise to the surface of like things he has to say, or even just design the text system or the dialogue system to be like you're always moving towards saying something you really shouldn't say, and you have to like navigate the thing to control his ego as much as possible.
Okay.
This is a totally random idea that I just got off of that, but it'd be cool in a game to have a dialogue tree where the different dialogue options are arranged in a word map where some of them are bigger than others, and then you're moving around between them, and it's like this is the one that's the biggest in this person's mind right now, but then you can pick smaller ones around that to like mimic that thing of like this is what he really wants to say, but you can force him to say this thing that's smaller in his mind.
That's really cool. I think that would work really well for this, with the fact that like essentially Walter White is a different person from Heisenberg. Essentially he is always trying to force down this part of himself, so it makes sense to have that be super evident in the way the text appears.
This is going back to something from earlier, but I have two kind of thoughts on the issue of, you know, how do you square the fact that Walter White wins with the fact that Columbo always wins? You know, and I have two thoughts about this. The first is there are at least 2 episodes of Columbo where the like final piece of evidence that he gets is he gives the murderer an opportunity to kill him, but disarms it somehow beforehand. And then they like attempt to kill him and fail to, and then he has evidence that they, you know, try to do that. So something where that's one potential way that you could go, is that he gets Walter White to incriminate himself by attempting to kill him.
Yes.
Another option is Columbo episodes very frequently end on just freeze frames of Columbo revealing the last piece of evidence.
That's so funny.
So doing that is the final Columbo chapter, and then there's a final Walter White chapter where he's trying to like manipulate the court system to get out of it.
This is what I was going to say. Saul could always bail him out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Saul Goodman is a big piece of this game because he can, he can stop this person from pestering. He can tell them it's illegal to keep pestering his client. He can counter any evidence with his own evidence and with his like fabricated versions of the truth. I think that would be a huge piece of this game. As for, did you have something you wanted to add?
I was just thinking that's also just a really good foil to the thing of Columbo is like outmatching Walter White whenever they are talking to each other, but then Columbo talks to Saul and it's like he's having a much harder time.
Essentially like a boss level in that type of gameplay.
Saul Goodman is a boss for Columbo.
Saul Goodman is a boss. That's my 2013 parody song.
Oh,
you gotta chill.
It's a parody of Gangnam Style. It's called Saul Goodman is a boss. Ruth looks so sad.
Yeah.
it's not even called Goodman Style.
Oh my god.
Saul Goodman is a boss.
I just couldn't hold myself back from calling it that.
Okay.
I do think though that you could do something really interesting with this of like Columbo. Yeah, I like your idea of Columbo, or Walter's given the chance to finish Columbo off. Columbo has disarmed the thing. You, the player, could know that, and then Walter could, instead of anti-Chekhov's gun it, instead of pulling the trigger. I mean, first of all, he's really smart and might see through that, and might there might be something with that. But also, he could also just have a total like breakdown at that point of remembering this guy allegedly has a wife. Something like that, and then like the game could have a really like interesting, bizarre ending. I don't know.
There might also be. This is maybe getting a little bit too much into like the experimental realm. There could be a thing where the conclusion of the game can come in either of their stories.
I was thinking the same exact thing. Actually.
Yeah, and that would affect how exactly it goes. Like there could be like 4 options of like. Columbo, pulls this trick on Walter White. He sees through it. Columbo pulls this trick on Walter White. He doesn't see through it.
Yeah.
Walter White successfully kills Columbo. The end. And Walter White has a breakdown and decides not to kill Columbo or something.
Yeah.
So you're saying a valid ending to this game is Columbo dead on the ground at the hands of Walter White?
Well, I'm not saying...
And then Frasier walks in.
Yeah.
Is he gonna catch him or not?
And he says, I just flew in from Seattle, and boy are my arms tired.
Big laugh.
Big laugh from the laugh track at that point.
Just was introduced in that moment. I think I'm not crazy about Columbo dying either way. I'm interested in because Breaking Bad is so good at like subverting expectations and doing stories in a really, really weird way that you expect to make, kind of follow a particular line. It usually like throws so many curveballs because of how unpredictable Walter himself is. I think it could be that Columbo like proves Columbo finds this evidence. I mean, it could even be a lot of Columbo's evidence kind of sucks.
Yeah.
In that show, he does not find like damning evidence a lot of the time, and so you could do like Walter. He finds he gets this. He gets a decent amount of evidence, tries to get Walter to shoot him. Walter doesn't fire the fake gun, is super close to, and doesn't do it, and you're super tense the whole time. You could even not know that it's a fake gun, and then he doesn't fire it, and you're like, oh, thank God, and then it's a fake gun the whole time. Like something like that could be interesting. Mm-hmm. But then like Columbo believes he has enough to go on, and Walter worms his way out of it. It's kind of anticlimactic. It's just, I'm not crazy.
It could also be, it doesn't have to be murder necessarily. It could be that Walter White is trying to get him like kicked off the force or something. Like he plants, like meth in Columbo's car or something.
Right.
But then Columbo's like, this is 99% pure. If this was your meth,
let me taste it. No, that's 60. There's cayenne
like
pepper
that.
in this. This is Jesse Pinkman stuff.
I thought it was cinnamon.
No, it's cayenne pepper. No, it's chili pepper. Chili pepper.
Chili
pea. I kind of like that he could even successfully get Columbo kicked off the force because of like his unorthodox methods. Like this constant back and forth of he's trying to get Walter convicted, he's trying to get Columbo off the force because he does a lot of stuff, but like like shooting someone who's investigating him would be so much worse for him than other stuff he does over the course of that show, and I think would be harder for him to justify himself. So yeah, Columbo meets some other fate by Walter White's hands. I do kind of see it though. The only way for this to make sense is Walter wins. I don't really think you can have like Walter White behind bars at the end. Oh.
Is there something where we can mirror the shot of Columbo's car pulling into town at the end of the game with his car pulling out of town, but something has changed?
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Well, I mean, what if Walter emotionally manipulated Columbo into thinking he was doing the right thing? That seems really implausible to me.
How could we emotionally manipulate Columbo?
Okay, how would I manipulate?
This is a mystery.
We can figure this out, guys.
It could. Okay, this is changing kind of the fundamental premise. It could be that Jesse kills somebody, and then Walter is trying to protect him in some way.
And gets Jesse. If I'm seeing where you're going, it's like he's trying to protect Jesse at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Goes through all this stuff because he's convincing himself that he cares so much about Jesse that he needs to protect him, and then ultimately is like, I've failed. Like, yes, it's him. I'm sorry, I was covering up for him.
Yeah.
And Columbo kind of thinks, okay, job well done. I discovered that the Pinkman kid did it, and Walter gets away with it and throws Jesse under the bus. That is changing both canons in a less extreme way than we were talking about doing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's very, very out of character for Columbo to be like the guy who manipulated this kid into killing somebody.
No, yeah.
But it is Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do think you're right that he would know what Walter was doing and would want to stop him, but it could ultimately be something with like Saul kind of strong arms Columbo into leaving ultimately, and the game ends with tensions have only risen. It's like in fiction. I'm trying to think of something that does this, but where it's like, oh, and by the way, this happened between these two sequences. And it's like, really? How did that happen? When they like make it additional material for something. It's like, okay, and it's somewhere along the way Jesse ended up in prison and somehow got out after he killed someone.
The other thing is there are also multiple Columbo episodes where the person is like a very powerful person, and they indicate at the end of the episode, like, yeah, we both know I did this, but I'm going to be able to get out of this in some way. So,
sorry, you know what else? Someone else could have done it. They take the fall. Jesse was involved, and Columbo keeps digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and we have a... actually, don't want to spoil this movie, so never mind. But we have an ending that is... Sorry. We have an ending that is very like Columbo realizing, oh, I can't actually put away Walter. I can get this person arrested who did this thing, and I can prove that they did this thing, but I have to walk away from this because I can't find real evidence on Walter, even though I know, and he just has to walk away. That I think is a really solid ending, and then it can still center around Jesse, and Walter can still have the moment of throwing Jesse under the bus, but it's not... this is great fan fiction, but it's not... it doesn't have to end with Walter or Jesse ending up in prison.
I guess my last question is...
You might say you have just one more thing to say.
I have just one more thing, which is, when does dog smell meth and follow his nose?
Oh boy.
Were you gonna say something second?
I was going to say it only just lodged in my head that earlier you complained about the fact that there's some endings of this would ruin the canon.
For real. I'm beginning to think there might be some issues.
There might be some issues with the canon if Columbo drives in.
And it's all because Columbo can't lose and Walter White can't lose. And that's why there's an issue with the canon if Columbo comes into Breaking Bad.
I'm saying all this happened in Breaking Bad. And happened in Columbo, but we just never saw it until now. And that has to work. And we have to find where it slots into both shows. With Columbo, it's a standalone thing, like all the Columbo episodes. With Breaking Bad, it's like season 4.
Yeah.
Arbitrarily.
No, for sure. For sure.
So, canon's intact.
I also have one more thing to pop in with here. Just one more thing, which is, there's this classic thing where the author of the Arsène Lupin stories wanted to do a Sherlock Holmes crossover, so he just did it without checking, and then got a cease and desist from Arthur Conan Doyle. So then the sequel he called Arsène Lupin versus Sherlock Holmes. So I think that if we're taking this thing into pre-production, we can Columbo fights Breaking Bad. And of course
we would have Walter White if we switch.
Exactly.
Yeah, instead of we would have
so true.
Walter White as opposed to Walter White. Okay, yeah. This is cool. I like the cooking mama stuff.
I was gonna say, do we want to do a minigame minute?
Oh, a minigame minute for that. Yeah, let's do it real quick.
Ruth, would you mind pulling up a timer for the minigame minute?
We can do a timer because you have...
There's a sweet little ant here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen an ant in a second.
That's weird, because where's it getting the food in this house? We don't have food in this house.
We don't have food in this house. If you know about food in this house, would you mind telling us? You ready?
Okay.
3. Oh, wait, you can count us down.
No, go for it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Columbo can play fetch with dog.
Nice. Playing video games with Jesse, and if you play as Walter, you get progressively a lot better at it. And if you play as Columbo, none of your controls go through. Like nothing happens. He has no idea what he's doing.
There's definitely something you could do with Columbo, like seeing objects highlighted in the environment that immediately stand out as wrong to him.
Yes.
Cooking Mama, you can stir the you stir the meth.
Stir the meth. That's what the game is, stirring the meth.
Actually, having driving mini games in both of them, but with Columbo's, it's like a super busted car.
That's so good.
So true. As Jesse, like a distribution mini game of some sort where you're going around and like finding people trying not to get caught.
You can fish as Columbo.
Perfect.
That was perfect. Yeah, this one I think would have a lot of mini games in it because of the tone of the game. It would just fit with sort of almost like a WarioWare style.
Yeah, I'm picturing something kind of like the Cars video game for PlayStation 2.
That's so
it's
real.
Kind of an open world, like desert environment that you're driving around.
Oh yeah, you're so right.
That's so real. My God.
And going and doing little challenges.
I love that. I want so bad to just drive around as these guys. And you're now learning why we made this game. I just want to drive around as these guys and meet each other
and sell meth.
Yeah, wait, is it like you can make a game about this, right?
I don't know.
I think like Grand Theft Auto.
I was gonna say,
have,
do you
like,
sell
drug distribution stuff in them?
Yeah, I guess.
You sell stuff do you sell meth?
I was thinking, I feel like it feels realer than Grand Theft Auto. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't even thought of that. Like, is this game even allowed to be made? Could you make a Breaking Bad game?
I think absolutely.
I think you could. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what rating it would get. It would probably get the high one that none of them get.
Oh, I think it would get. I think it would get a mature rating.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's true.
I guess the issue I think would probably come in at the level of what studio would want to make this, not necessarily like the whatever ESRB or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So
Just one.
Just
one
one more
more
thing. Just one more thing.
Nope, I don't.
You don't have
I don't have
one?
a thing.
Okay,
It
cool.
just
Just
seemed
one
like
more thing.
some
This
dead air.
has been Game
Just one
Jelly.
Well, this has been Game Jelly. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We'd like to thank Dylan Lynch for writing and performing our theme music.
And Ruth Demery for producing the show.
Yes, and thanks Sagan so much for being here. You can find Sagan on Instagram. Sagan's cool project at Nature
Walks Animated.
Nature Walks Animated, and you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at game_jelly.
Make sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and leave a comment down below with who you think would win in the final battle.
We should have said some really egregious stuff, like, oh yeah, Columbo would never find any evidence because Walter never leaves any evidence behind.
I feel like you might be. I don't know.
We might be set on that.
I feel like if we're looking to farm controversy in the comments, the Breaking Bad side is the one to stoke the fires.
Oh no, but this would be stoking the fires of the Breaking Bad side.
Oh,
would be
I
me
see.
saying like, oh yeah, Walter's too smart to leave any evidence behind. Yeah.
Do you have anything else to plug?
I don't know why you asked that. You know I don't.
I mean,
Just trying to rub it in your
sorry.
face. You got anything else going
Got
on?
anything else to plug? Hey, the only thing to plug, Jesse's the only plug I'm interested in.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.